Hi, my name is Jamilah, and welcome to a special episode of the Simply Jamilah podcast. That's so weird to say. So, this episode is going up one day after my birthday, which is absolutely insane to say. But when I thought about turning 27, the only thing that I could think about was 27 Dresses. And I actually watched that movie about a month ago, and I was like, oh, absolutely, we're doing this. So today's episode of the podcast, I'm not going to do my weekly wins like I normally would. I'm not going to talk about what I'm currently consuming, although I would love to trash talk every year after right now, but I'm not going to. We're going to save that for next week. Instead, I am going to share 27 lessons I've learned just in this past year alone. And as I share each lesson, I'm going to change into 27 dresses. Now, I said that weird. I said dress is weird. Dresses. Anyway, although I will say I'm not wearing my glasses, so I kind of can't see what you can or cannot see. Okay, without further ado, let's get into lessons I learned from my 27th year alive, because a birthday celebrates your previous year. I tried to explain that concept to my sister, and it did not go well at all. Number one, you can't root for everyone Black when everyone Black isn't rooting for you. Yes, we are starting off political, but not just politically. Like, I've noticed this in my day-to-day life in the past year, and I love the fact that Issa Rae said that she was rooting for everyone Black at that award show. But if there's anything I've learned from this past year, and I knew about it when Roe v. Wade got overturned, but I don't think I really processed that there is more than one Clarence Thomas in the world. Like, at the time, my brain was like, obviously I'm going to root for everyone Black except him. But then this past year has shown me that there are multiple versions of him in the world, and therefore you can't root for everyone Black because those Black people are not rooting for you. Does that even make sense? Does that sound mean? It might sound mean, but something that I've also learned, this is not one of the lessons, but something else that I've learned is that, it may sound mean, but it's the truth. And sometimes people need their feelings hurt, or they need to hear the mean thing to kind of open their eyes to the reality of what's happening. Is that mean too? I don't know. Number two. And yes, I'm wearing a romper, but if you go to department stores, they put rompers and jumpsuits with dresses. I don't want to hear it, okay? Dogs are literally children. They just have shorter lifespans. And I got the warnings and all the things about, like, when I got Clover and da-da-da-da-da. I honestly can't believe she's going to be 2 in August. That is blowing my mind. But I feel like this past year, as we got ourselves established into this apartment and big on the attempted to establish a routine that worked for both of us, I really realized like how much of a child she actually is. I'm literally wearing a dirty romper that I realized somehow has like a stain from her on one of the sleeves. I don't know. I literally don't know how she did it, but she did. And I definitely started realizing it when we went to the vet, when it was time for her like annual shots. And then I realized that most of her shots literally expire like in a year, and I have to go pay like a $300 vet bill every year. But then also the fact that something happened, we had to go to the emergency vet, and the bill was like as if my child had broken their arm or something. Like, it was absolutely insane. On top of that, I have to go buy specialized like skincare lotion because she is so sensitive to the sun and the grass, and she has to use the bathroom on the grass. She also now has to take like 3 or 4 adult Benadryl a day to help with her skin and the consistent itching and licking. A human, a human. And because she is who she is, which I've learned this about the pit bull breed, I did not know this. Once upon a time, when I lived with my mother and her person at the time, we had a pit bull, but I think he was just so mistreated that we, A, didn't keep him for long, and B, I never really got to like know him. Like, I was taking care of him. I think I've talked about this on the podcast before, that I took care of him like a lot of the time. I was the main person to like let him out, put him up, attempt to play with him until he got a little humpy happy because they wouldn't get him fixed. But then they eventually like got rid of him because they said he was too much, even though they made like no effort to take care of him. I digress. But anyway, I didn't really like learn this about him because we didn't have him long enough, but I'm learning this with Clover, who she's not full pit, but she's pit enough that they do actively try to communicate. Like, she sits and tries to talk to me like she's a human. My dog is literally a child. So it obviously it's not, I have no experience with being an actual mom as far as having like human children. But boy, oh boy, do I like leave the big kids, then go to the little kids, and then come home and I'm like, crap, I still have another version of a kid because Clover has to eat. Her food has to be mixed together for her to eat it. She needs attention. She needs to lay on me. She's going to talk to me. She's going to hit me in the face with a rope because she wants to play with me. Like, she is literally a child. And it's kind of, I've thought about this even the other day where it's like, when will my moment alone come? And I had to leave town on my birthday for that moment alone to come. Number 3, I really, and it takes a lot for me to use the word hate, but I hate liars. Like, I really do. And it's not that I hadn't been lied to like previously to this year. Like, obviously I have siblings. Of course I've been lied to. I actually taught in a classroom for a year. Of course I've been lied to. But a child lying to me is so different than an adult lying to me, especially one who is supposed to be my superior. When you are straight up lying to my face, immediate anger, immediately pissed off, immediately upset. And I realized this past year because I've never had multiple adults, and especially those who are above me, I've never had like so many blatant lies told to me. And I understand trying to like save whoever's reputation, trying to avoid conflict, blah, 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 blah. But I'm more pissed off and more hurt when you lie to me than when you just simply tell me the truth. Because I think for some reason people think I'm confrontational, and I'm not. I'm not going to be like, oh, she said this about me. Where's she at? Let me go find her. Let me go knock her down. Like, I'm not going to do that at all. I'm going to be like, oh, she said this about me. Glad she has an opinion or a voice or thoughts or something. And then I'm going to keep going. Lying is equivalent to fake people because they are so obviously lying to you every time they smile at you, hit you with a good morning. Like, yeah, you immediate like personality of a liar. To protect yourself, you are fake. I can't do that. I can't stand that. And I was around it a little too much this past year. I'm good. Even from men who were trying to date me and lied to my face, we are done. Some of these dresses need to be clasped and it's simply not happening. But anyway, number 4, don't say you're poor, say your funds are limited. Someone I work with told me to stop saying I was poor, and then I was like, but I am. And she was like, no, your funds are just limited. And when I say mind was blown, I was like, wait, yes, I love that. And then I even added a word on. I said, I'm going to start saying my funds are limited temporarily, as in this is just a season. And I'm speaking into existence that one day I will have the funds necessary to do the simple fun things and not stress about the amount of groceries I'm getting or putting $12 worth of gas in my car just to DoorDash to get more money to buy more gas. Like, one day it's not going to be like that. So I'm kind of in a way speaking that when I'm saying my funds are limited temporarily, but I have to stop saying that I'm poor because I'm not poor. Number 5, this may sound self-explanatory and absolutely insane, but eat before you DoorDash. Now, first off, I don't anticipate, DoorDashing forever, but DoorDashing has helped as far as like that extra money that I would like to have to do some of my day trips over the summer. It's helped with that. It helped with extra funds that I needed when I went to New York. So if I have to temporarily DoorDash because my funds are temporarily limited, then I will. With that being said, there was one day I DoorDashed before I ate dinner and everything I picked up smelled so good. Even the groceries, okay? I was down bad. Now, I'm way better than the dashers who will just literally eat someone's food and then either cancel the order or drop off like an empty bag or box or something. Those people are wild and should not be allowed to be a dasher at all. I would never do that, but I will say it made me cut my dash short one day because I was just simply starving so bad and everything smelled good. Y'all, chicken smelled good. That's when you know it was bad. Another thing that may be common sense, and I just simply did not know, But gentrification applies to more than just housing. And I watched it this year at the job that I had. I mean, I guess I have the same job, just at a different location, but the location I was at, I watched it this year and I was like, whoa. My mind was blown. Gentrification, the best way I can explain it, is with houses. It's when they go in and tear down like neighborhoods and homes that belong to people who may fall at or below the poverty line and receive government assistance. They tear those places down to build up these like new homes for people who somehow have money to live in, and then they kind of just displace all the people who were living in the homes that were, for people who needed financial and government assistance. Now, someone who's different from me would probably say that it's when the white people come in and take over the black people's area. That's when we think of gentrification. That's kind of the image that a lot of people think of. And I definitely watched that happen, not with houses at all, but with my job and just the environment that I was in. I was like, oh my goodness, you can gentrify a school. You can gentrify a school's culture and practices and events. And my mind, when I realized what was happening, was mind blown. Number 7, I need to stop trying to make Clover's crate comfortable. You would think I'd learned that after the different dog beds that she ripped up, but I thought, she had grown up enough because she has matured and she has changed a lot. So I was like, okay, great. We've hit a point where I can just put a pillow in there. I can put a pillow in there. It can be wrapped in a blanket that she's familiar with because it's a scent that she's familiar with. I was like, and that could be her dog bed. She could have something comfortable to lay on because I just feel bad. I feel so bad. I had a dog bed out here by the couch and she wouldn't lay on that. But I feel I don't know, it's almost a rite of passage to just be able to sleep on a dog bed, and she just doesn't or can't. She hasn't quite figured it out yet. She only likes the beanbag that's behind this camera, and even then that's been a work in progress. So I put a pillow in her crate in hopes that maybe we've changed a little bit, and she just hasn't. So I need to just stop trying to make her crate comfortable. She has blankets in there, and for some reason that's the only thing that she's good with that doesn't rip up. But I feel bad because the tray at the bottom of her crate is galvanized steel because she was ripping up the plastic black ones that come with crates. So I don't know. I want the best for her and I want her to be comfortable, and maybe she is, but because she isn't a human, I don't get that validation that she is okay. And so in my head, I'm like, oh, you need a pillow. You basically need the equivalent of a mattress. And no, I need to stop doing that because she's just going to rip it up. Number 8. This has been a journey, but it is a lesson that I'm learning in the hard way. When you switch doctors, get your medical record, your shot record, get a record, okay? Oh my goodness. My primary physician asked if I was caught up on my shots, and I was like, I assume so. I haven't had shots in years. And she was like, okay, we'll check your record. Turns out my primary care physician didn't have my shot record. And I said, oh. So I spent several days trying to contact the primary care physician that I got when I initially moved to this community, and they don't answer their phone. And when you try to go in person, they basically don't see you or speak to you if you don't have an appointment. Wish I had known when I had initially joined that they were absolute jerks. But, we have to learn things the hard way. It's a part of life. It is what it is. So I've been going on this journey trying to get my shot record. And even with my whole military thing, if you missed last week's episode, they told me that they were going to go over my medical record, and I don't even know what my medical record is, or I didn't know until I went through MEPS, and then they told me, and I was like, oh. So as for my immunization record or my shot record, I actually ended up calling my high school, and they still had it on file. So now I have to go through the process of sending them a $3 check or money order to get my transcript with my immunization record mailed to me, so I at least have that. So I would have all of my shots leading up to at least when I was in high school, or they said that I can call the state health department and get that as well, because I hadn't gotten any shots since I moved to North Carolina. So I've actually already said number 9, but I'm just going to say it again in case you need to know. Call your high school for your immunization record. I mean, there's not much more to expand upon it because it kind of got meshed in with number 8. But I mean, it's just something good to know if in the future they ask questions. Then you, again, can at least have up until I believe you get your 11th grade shots and then you're good. I thought that I had gotten shots to go to college, but apparently not. When I called my university, they were like, oh, you don't need any shots to come here. And they didn't have my medical record, shot record, or any of it on file. And they said that they didn't need to have it on file either. But I feel like I distinctly remember us filling out paperwork for me to go into the dorm, and the paperwork that we filled out was them to get my medical records. One of my favorite lessons from the year, number 10. The perkiest people who seem the nicest are the ones to trust the least. Honestly, I don't know if there's much more I can say than that. I mean, it becomes kind of obvious, like, you don't have to be like mean and brooding and pessimistic all the time or anything, but when you are perky consistently, there's something not there. You're not trustworthy. And what I've learned to do with this particular, I was going to say breed of people, and that was going to sound really bad, but with this particular like group of people who are super perky, I've learned to like look into their eyes, because there you can see how ungenuine they are. I was going to say disgenuine, but I learned from writing a blog post recently that is not a word. It is ungenuine. But if you look into their eyes, you can tell. You can see it. So if you ever have someone who's consistently perky with you and you're like, something's not right here, 10 out of 10 recommend just looking into their eyes, and you'll be able to tell if they're actually genuine or not. I mean, honestly, this just kind of goes with the lesson. Just be careful who you trust. Number 11, the community that is around me is very circumstantial, and I need a shift. I've talked about it before that, my family's like not really around, like technically they are physically not around me, but even if they were around me, it wouldn't be like the best. But also the quote unquote family that I have built, I guess, with just the people around me, whether I met them at a club, like a book club, not like a whoop 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 party club, or we worked together, or, there was just a random conversation at the grocery store. Like, no matter how I met them, I'm happy that they're in my life. Absolutely. I'm happy that they're in my life. But I've learned over the past year that if I, like, ask for something way in advance, or whatever the case may be, or there's an emergency, the help is circumstantial. And sometimes I get it and sometimes I don't. And that's okay. I'm happy to be considered for the help, like they would even try to help me, and then B, I'm happy when they do help me. But I've also just realized, like, I don't know if I'm caught up in just like this imaginary world of like the future that I imagine for myself, but there's a particular like family and group of people that I need to have. Like, I guess it's my family, I don't know, or maybe it's my partner's family, and I haven't met my partner yet, so maybe it's whoever I end up with romantically, maybe it's their family, but either way, I need to be able to rely on people without circumstances getting in the way, if that makes sense. And I know we all have lives and all of that jazz, but sometimes it gets a little frustrating, especially when it's like I'm like reiterating over and over again. It's like, you're good for this, you're good for that, you're good for that. And yeah, things come up. Obviously things come up. But then when I find out in a backwards way that actually you're not good for this at all, it's like, oh, wait. So I don't know. It gets to be a little frustrating. And I've thought about it so much recently, especially with like just things that have happened. And I'm like, it's all circumstantial. I don't know. It's hard. So that's why I said I need a shift. Whether I need a shift in my thinking, whether I need to just simply stop asking for help, stop relying on people. But then it gets a little hard for me personally, because then I fall back into that mindset of I'm so tired and pissed off about consistently showing up for people and them not showing up for me. But if I don't ask them to show up for me, then I can't get frustrated because they didn't show up for me. But then I also end up being like frustrated and disappointed because I asked them to show up and help and they are unable to because of something else that happened that they knew. I think it comes down to, that this is happening and therefore you can't help, but at the moment you're telling me that you can. I'd rather just not have a clear answer in the moment than be told that you can do something that you simply just cannot do. That's completely different from emergency coming up and then you just have to like cancel. Like, that's completely different. This is like, and then we get close to the time and then it's like, oh, actually, no. And that's happened with different people over the past year, and it gets to be a little defeating sometimes. Number 12. This lesson was kind of crazy. I don't care how tired you are, wash your face. Guys, because I would exhaust the crap out of myself between working the jobs, doing the classwork, making sure Clover lives, doing my best to half live. And I guess in my half living, I really needed to be washing my face, because recently, even my pillows now, which this kind of solidified for me what it was, because I did like a little experiment, but my pillows, and then like I was staying at hotels over the past year, and I'm like, what is this brown stuff that ends up on their white pillows? Like, it wasn't like this when I went to sleep. Brother, it's the dirt from your face. And I realized that because I just got white sheets, and they're cooling sheets, they're perfect for the summer, and I was like upset because I went to sleep and there was still like, there was brown stuff on them, and I'm like, what is that? Like, why does this keep happening? And then, the light bulb turned on that it was my face doing that. So I started making time to like wash my face, and now brown stuff doesn't end up on my white pillows. A foreign, crazy, wild concept, I know, but I can't believe that I like let myself get so down bad and so just, I don't know, that I stopped washing my face consistently, at least, and moisturizing it at night, because I had a whole period of just dry skin that I was like trying to figure out where was it coming from. I just wasn't doing my skincare routine at night, and I now see how important that is, especially with removing dirt. Again, if you are doing the audio version of this podcast, you can't see what I'm wearing right now, but to my friend who may or may not be watching this, because I borrowed like 6 of her dresses for this video, because I had like 21, which is wild. Anywho, to my friend who is watching this and I'm borrowing your dress, the dress that I'm currently wearing, where'd you get it from? Because I like this. I'm like, wait a minute, this is like so flattering, and like she has more of a chest than I do, and it like flatters the crap out of mine. Number 13, actually same friend has been saying this, and it honestly took her saying it over and over this past weekend for me to like be like, wait, she's right. I need to stop lying to myself. I am competitive. I am competitive. And I used to like tell people, no, I'm not competitive unless it's against myself, especially like when it came to academics. When I was in high school, I was like, I have to beat that 93. I have to get a 96 on the next one. Okay, I got 96. I got to get a 99. That's the reason I took the ACT 7 times. And you would think after getting the same score that I would stop maybe after round number 3, round number 4. But no, I took the ACT 7 times and I kept getting a 27. I really thought that I was only competitive with myself. And it took this past weekend for me to realize, wait, I'm competitive with other people. I was doing everything I can to beat someone to church on Sunday, which is so hilariously wild. But the thing is, even though I am competitive, I'm not a sore loser. As long as you're not gloating, we're good. And even if you do gloat, congratulations. You feel the need to do that. I don't know why. But as for me, I'm not going to throw a fit because I lost. Like, I lost. It is what it is. It happens. I've lost so much in life. I can't tell you how many times I've lost Uno, that it's like, fine. It's okay. I'm not a sore loser, but I will stop lying to myself and saying I'm not competitive. This is me throwing in the towel, throwing in the hat, throwing in whatever I need to throw in to say that everyone is correct, especially my friend who let me borrow this dress. I am competitive. It is a lesson I've learned. I am accepting it. This is our healing moment. How do I move on from this? Number 14, there truly is someone for everyone. I have seen that in various relationships this past year, and someone said it this past weekend at a graduation party we went to, and I looked at her and I I believed it. I don't know why it took this particular person saying it for me to be like, wait, yeah, you're right. But I just started thinking about there's people, and I don't mean this in a bad way, I promise, but there's people who have gotten married this past year that I did not ever anticipate getting married. Same with people who have gotten engaged this past year, never thought that they'd get engaged. And, granted, they're not married yet, but I feel like they have truly found their person and they are going to get married. And I'm so happy for them. I'm very excited for them. But just thinking about it all has made me think there really is just someone for everyone. You find that person when it's time, but we can't determine when that time is. It's all a matter of, I don't know what you believe in. I believe in God, so I'm going to say it's a matter of God's timing. But whoever you believe in, if you believe in something or someone, it's just kind of a matter of that timing. I believe it now. And I'm saying that as someone who's still single and has gone on mediocre dates and been on they're not even relationships. Those were not relationships. They were just mediocre. We almost were a relationship and then we just weren't kind of situations. It's happened to me multiple times. But I'm okay with that because I haven't found my person. My person, actually, because the same person who said there's someone for everyone also said not to chase. So it's not that I didn't find my person. My person hasn't found me yet. So hopefully, they're not struggling, but I understand it's a little hard. I get it, even though I am consistently on the internet, but it's fine. Take your time. Number 15, this is going to sound absolutely insane, but it's something that I've learned over the year as someone who likes to pretend that she's a meteorologist whenever she gets the weather correct in the South. The Weather Channel app is better than the iPhone weather app. It is a fact. Honestly, it doesn't even have to be the Weather Channel app. It could be any weather app. But they're all better than the iPhone weather app because the iPhone weather app loves to say that it's going to rain and it just doesn't. For the past week, it has said that there's a chance of rain every single day where I live and it has yet to rain. Now, granted, it is the South, so the South's weather alone is unpredictable, to be quite honest. But the Weather Channel is way more accurate in trying to be predictable than the iPhone weather app. So just don't even open the iPhone weather app. I know it's there. It's automatic. It's a cute little widget, whatever. But baby, it's lying to you. Get a different weather app. Although I will say no matter what, especially if you do live in the South, always be prepared because we don't ever know what's going to happen. All right. Number 16. This was kind of a tough lesson for me to learn this year, but I'm happy that I did because it's made me a better person in my opinion. Sometimes you just have to let people speak. And not even sometimes. All of the time. You just have to let people speak. And I mean this in the way that I somehow have people in my life who will tell me something and then 2 days later tell me the same thing. And I used to just interrupt and be like, you've already told me this because, and I know this sounds bad and I don't mean for it to sound bad, but I really truly don't like hearing the same thing over and over again. It's just, and I'm sure that's a result of childhood trauma of hearing the same thing over and over and over again. But truly the only person that I let tell me the same thing over and over again and I'm completely happy and okay with it is my great grandmother. Why? Because she's is she 98, 99? Possibly going to be 100 this year? She's up there in age and she doesn't have her short-term memory. It's gone. Now, she remembers me, but from a long time ago. So if we're having a conversation and I call her, she's going to say the same thing over and over, but that's just because we know she doesn't have her short-term memory. It's gone. And that's okay. Whereas if I just saw you, say I saw you at work and you told me something at work and then you called me after work to tell me the same thing, mildly, I'm going to want to scream. So I used to just tell people, I used to interrupt them and be like, you've already told me this. But I've learned to not let that frustration show. It happens. I don't really know why it happens because I mean, I do it sometimes. I really try to stop myself from doing it. And I think in an effort to stop myself from doing it, I've just simply limited what I tell people. And I just don't tell people a lot of things anymore, which could also be a good thing. I don't freaking know. But what I do know is that I just let people speak now. They might have told me before, but I just let them speak. And now, if I'm letting them speak, does that mean I'm paying attention? That's a separate conversation. I'm going to be very honest. That is a separate conversation because I've already heard this before. I've already reacted before. So when I know that they're saying the same thing that they've told me before, I know how I reacted the first time. I'm just going to react that way again. Number 17, do not let disappointment stop you. You can pivot. I have talked about disappointment on here a lot because it's unfortunately because of just my childhood and then after my childhood and even up to now, it's just a part of my life, which is really, really sad. To be honest, it is very sad. I'm 3 years from being 30 and most of my life I've known disappointment, whether it's on a grand scale or a small scale. It's just a constant and it's very unfortunate. And if I think about it too much, I will start crying. So I'm going to just not. But one thing I've learned to do over the year is that if I am relying on someone and I do experience a disappointment, I can just pivot and I can figure something else out, and whatever I figure out will be equally okay. Biggest example, the most recent example I can think of, and this has already happened. So I quit the restaurant. I worked for Hilton. I had booked my trip to Virginia for the 16th and the 17th of June. Well, I knew something was going to happen when I quit the restaurant, but I just assumed that they were going to make me pay full price for like the reservation, which I was like kind of prepared to do. No, they just like fully canceled my reservation like last week. And then what makes it so bad is that when I tried to make another reservation, it wouldn't let me. That was incredibly disappointing. And it kind of shifted how I was going to go about this trip. And I just simply, it went from an overnight trip to a day trip. There was also another factor to that happening, but it's fine because what did I do? I was like, I wasn't going to completely cancel the trip. I think Jamilah from even a couple of years ago would have just completely canceled the trip, probably would have wallowed at home, not answered any phone calls or happy birthday texts. But no, she's a new woman. She is different. She has learned over the year. That disappointment, again, unfortunate, constant, but I can pivot. I can still make something good out of a circumstance that just is very unfortunate. You learn things in due time when you need to know them. And this is the time that I needed to learn about what it means to pivot and to go in a different direction, but still go in a direction that I am happy with and that will hopefully not lead to more or greater disappointment. My bra straps are out for this one, but it's okay. Speaking of okay, number 18, it is okay to be left out of the internet loop. As someone who like loves pop culture, I used to like really feel like I had to rush to be a part of everything, especially things that were happening on the internet, because that's where you learn about pop culture. But over the past year, I've just kind of been like, I can enjoy pop culture at my pace if it's something that I like. What am I doing? What am I gonna rush to be a part of something for? I don't want to say I'm not young, because I'm definitely young, but I'm not Gen Alpha, and even though I'm technically Gen Z, we all know that people born between like 96, 97, and 99 are not actually Gen Z, okay? We are our own generation. I'm 27, and the class that graduated this year, class of 2026, is also Gen Z. There's no way I'm the same generation as these kids. Absolutely not. I refuse. So with that thought process in mind over the past year, like kids will come up to me and be like, have you seen this? Have you seen that? No, I haven't. And I reached a point where I thought that I had to go and like look it up or whatever. And then I'm like, you know what? I don't even care. I'm not going to rush to be a part of something that I just don't care about. Like, I'm sorry, but I'm not. So if you can yell at me if you want to. I have yet to watch Heated Rivalry, and I'm not going to. I'm not. I talk about her all the time. I love her to pieces. Ashley Ippolito, she's a reaction YouTuber. She watched Heated Rivalry, and watching her videos of her watching Heated Rivalry is as close as I'm ever going to get to watching the show, even when a new season comes out. Respectfully, I'm not paying for HBO Max to watch Heated Rivalry. I'm just not. I stopped paying for HBO Max when Euphoria started playing this like game of we don't know when we're going to get season 3, and then all this other stuff started coming out about the show before season 3 even came out, which season 3 was absolute garbage. I didn't have to watch it. I just had to get on Threads, and I realized, okay, this is bad. And like, I don't have TikTok. I haven't had TikTok since that whole, it's going to get shut down and da-da-da-da-da. But then that message came up at the start of the year that the Orange saved it. The person who's supposedly, quote unquote, the president, but like, whatever. Yeah, once that happened, I was like, okay, there's some stuff going on that we simply don't know about, and I'm not here for it. And granted, there's a lot of stuff going on with a lot of social media apps. Hello, Meta. But I truly, and I don't know if this is messed up of me or not, that I really only use Meta apps. I use Facebook, Instagram, and Threads. I don't want to know what, like, it's a birthday or whatever that's happening. I don't really care for that. And, like, what is the whole thing? Cheese, hallelujah, and, like, blue jeans, hallelujah. Like, I don't understand any of that. I'm like, I'm okay with not understanding it. Number 19, and I had to give myself a whole lot of grace. I am not failing as a Black person because I'm still learning the history. And I don't know why, but there was a period of time, and there's been a lot of periods of time where I just like beat myself up because I'm learning something new relating to like being Black or the Black culture or the history, but also it's okay. Girl, I was born in 99. Why am I hurting myself? I'm not a history major. The education system, it actually in Tennessee, it's better than North Carolina. So it didn't necessarily fail me, but because it is Tennessee, who is red as heck, it also did still kind of fail me in regards to learning about my history. Like, I think it's cool that the high school I'm at now has African American studies as an option as far as like for kids to take to learn about Black history. When I was in high school, that wasn't an option. But you know what was an option to learn about history? Bible. It just so happens that I am a Christian, but like I had to learn about the Bible from a historical context. Mind you, most of my high school was diverse, so why did we not have an African American studies class? And why did I take US history, and when it came February and it was Black History Month, we just kind of breezed over the fact that it was Black History Month? I had different opportunities to learn about Black history, and they didn't happen because of the education that I was receiving. However, it is also on me, because if I really want to know and I really want to learn, then I need to educate myself and I need to keep trying. But I also am not going to know everything. It's just simply impossible to know everything. That's why I don't understand people who act like they're know-it-alls. Girl, what do you know? Give it to me, because I don't know it all. I don't even know if I really want to know it all, but I want to know enough to be able to have intellectual conversations with people. Like, I learned about splitting the pole this year and how that does relate to slavery and Black history. And I had no idea. I thought it was like a weird thing that people all of a sudden like cared about. Like, I was like, why is that like a thing? And it's only where like I live currently. I never really had heard of like the problem with splitting a pole when I went to school in Tennessee, when I lived in Tennessee after school. Like, it just never was a thing. But now I've learned what it means and its significance, and why, some people are very like, I can't split the pole. Number 20. This was kind of a lesson that I didn't anticipate learning, and I didn't realize I like learned it and conquered until it was over. But number 20, I can do hard things and I don't need to settle. And what I mean by that is I was heavily advised against taking 3 classes when I was working 3 jobs. But I somehow, which I guess because the restaurant didn't really schedule me, maybe that's why. But no, I can't. I need to not do that. I'm not going to put it on the fact that one job sucked. I'm going to put on the fact that I worked really, really hard. I was able to balance a social life and multiple jobs and pass all 3 classes with an A. I can do hard things. I don't have to settle into something because my advisor is like, no, like you shouldn't do that. You should just take 2 classes. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of work for you. And you have a job and da-da-da-da. I can balance it all. I don't have to settle or change what I'm doing because you think it's hard. We have 2 different work ethics, baby. I'm so proud of myself in this moment, and I hope that that work ethic and that drive keeps me going through the next year and a half, because I have many more classes to take. Number 21, though like death and aging are inevitable, it's important to not write off someone's emotions or grief or sadness or anger or whatever they're feeling. Don't write it off. I never did this to someone else, but over the past year, I have shared grief with people and I've experienced it. And whenever someone loses someone that they love, it is just sad and it's hard, and it's so hard. And I empathize with that. It's unfortunate. And I know for me, as I get older, I'm going to lose more people in my family and it's going to get harder emotionally. And I understand that, but people have written off my grief. I'll call and be super sad and they're like, well, that's just, it is what it is. Death is a part of life. I get that. But sometimes I just need silence, or I need empathy. We're all going to leave this earth at some point, and we are aging. I just turned 27. Every birthday is kind of a marker of aging. Like, I get that. But I hope that as I get older, I do not turn into someone who's just like, well, it is what it is. It's inevitable. Stop crying. You're going to die too. I do not want to be that person at all, because those people hurt my feelings more. They made the sorrow greater over this past year. And it's so important. I realized the importance of just letting people feel their emotions and not shutting them down. Number 22, and this is probably one of the bigger lessons I learned this year: don't lose faith, don't lose hope. I wanted to give up so many times this year. I feel like I wanted to give up more this year than the year that I was homeless, or the months that I was homeless and injured. I wanted to give up so bad. I felt like I just couldn't crawl out of this hole. I felt stuck. I did not see the light. I didn't see the light, but I'm so happy that I did not give up. I did not lose faith. I did not lose hope. I knew deep down that everything was going to work out. But some days were just so bad and so hard that I genuinely was like, there's no way. There's no way it's going to get better than this. There's no way I'm going to not end up, with a sign at the corner. I kept fighting myself. Like, truly, I was fighting myself because there were so many times and so many moments that I wanted to lose faith. I wanted to lose hope. I wanted to be done. I just simply wanted to be done. The biggest lesson I've learned this year, I mean, there's many, but one of the biggest ones is that I have to keep the faith. I cannot let go of the faith. And faith and hope are kind of, on the same wavelength in my head. I would love to hear about the differences between faith and hope because I know that there are some, but I just can't. My brain is like, we're going to have faith and we're going to have hope all at the same time. Number 23, it is important to separate yourself in all of your different roles. I am happy that I am learning that and I'm trying to figure out how to do it. And I realized that this year because imagine I get married and I accidentally become my husband's teacher. Do you know what I mean? So I am the eldest sibling and I see all these like different memes and things on the internet about how the eldest sibling becomes a teacher, and it makes sense. But I've learned that I really need to turn, educator me off basically, because sometimes I will teacher my siblings. I'm not being the older sister that they need. I'm being the teacher that they didn't ask for. I need to shut that down. That's not an okay thing to do. So I realized this year that I need to separate myself in all of the different roles that I'm involved in, but I have to figure out how I'm going to do that. So that is definitely the next step. I have to be Jamilah, the sister, the daughter, the educator, the after school leader, which granted after school leader and educator kind of go in the same, but even then not really, because I'm just helping them with their homework and making sure they don't die on a playground. Number 24, don't rush the future. I kind of learned this towards the end of 2025, but it falls into my previous 27th year of living, and it's why I made one of my goals for this year to just be present. I know I'm not going to live here forever. I know that me and Clover are going to live in a bigger apartment, maybe even a home. I know, not to sound crazy, I know I'm going to get married one day. I know I'm going to have to move again. I know I'm going to get a better couch. I know all of this. I feel all of it in my bones. But I think I reached a point where knowing that this was going to happen, but the fact that it wasn't happening right now was causing me to rush everything. And I wasn't living in the moment. I wasn't living in the present. I wasn't enjoying anything. I was just simply going through the motions a lot of the days, trying to get to that point in the future where I do have and get all of these things. But I've learned the importance of being present, because even though I have so many super mundane days, I enjoy those mundane days because I'm here, I'm in the moment, I'm present, and I know what those days are going to lead up to. But instead of rushing them to get there, time doesn't move faster or slower for anyone. So why am I trying to rush it? That makes literally no sense. So I've learned to just kind of enjoy each day and be present. Even if the work day, is 7 or 8 hours and it is unenjoyable, it's only 7 or 8 hours. There are 24 hours in a day. So there's 16 other hours that you can work with. Granted, you probably should sleep 8. So really there's just 8 hours, but there's still 8 hours in the day that you can do something with. You can have a great skincare routine for the morning, a good little night routine. You can exfoliate with a new exfoliant. Just simple things like that. Using a new shower gel, lighting a candle. Those little things can make a difference in a day that normally would be mundane. Number 25. This one was super hard. And honestly, I'm still working through it. I'm journaling about it. I can't save every student as much as I really, really, really want to. And I think that's one of the harder things about working in a high school, is that high school is kind of the end of their general education, if that, you know what I mean? You don't have to go to college if you don't want to. You can do many different things once you graduate from high school. So, that's kind of what I mean by it's the end. It's not the end of the world or anything. In fact, life begins after high school. Life begins when you turn 21, really. But high school, the hard part is that you have this big graduation that. It's that is their moment. They made it all 12, 13 years of being in public, private, whatever education, like you made it. And so the hard part is when you know and you're going on this journey with these kids and you know, like, you're right there, you're at the finish line, you got 1 year left, you have 1 year left, and then you can graduate, and then you quit, you give up. I have several students that I just care so much about. Telling them that I was leaving was so incredibly hard. One of the harder, more emotional things that I've had to do. And honestly, I think I'm still processing it emotionally. I think it'll smack me in the face when August comes. In saying goodbye to them, there's a couple that I wanted to say goodbye to, but I couldn't because they just stopped. They stopped. And they're kids that I like fought for, like consistently fought for. But in saying goodbye to the many students that I love, I've learned that I can't save them all. And it's really, really hard, but I have to kind of accept that. Number 26, hormones are no joke, okay? And like, what is it? I'm 27 when this goes out. I've been on my period for 15 years, which is so disgusting to say, and I absolutely hate that. I knew hormones were a thing, but I did not realize how bad switching birth control was going to mess with them, and it was going to affect things that I never knew could be affected by a change in birth control. Like, I had the weight discussion, which honestly, my weight hasn't changed that much since I started the Depo shot. But what has changed, I sweat so much more now, and I sweat so easily. And I absolutely despise it. I do not like how much and how quickly I sweat, because when I sweat, I stink. And no matter how much deodorant I put on or perfume I put on, nothing changes the funk, okay? I can only do so much. And I'm not saying, and it's not because it's summer sweating either. It'll be the coldest day in winter, and I'm sweating. What? I thought I was sick for a period of time because it kept, I was just sitting in the freezing cold sweating, but no, it's my hormones. And the hair growth is insane. Not off the top of my head either. The hair growth on my legs, my underarms, my upper lip is real bad. Oh my goodness. My upper lip hair is horrible, okay? But it's because I messed with my hormones. This is their way of telling me, you mess with us, we're going to mess with you right back. And number 27, to round us out, this past year, I've learned that I have lived a whole lot of life, okay? I consistently forget that I was valedictorian. My friend reminds me, but then something happened. I think I Googled my name at work, and my coworkers at the high school, at least, we're not coworkers anymore, unfortunately, but the ones that I liked found out started referring to me as Val or Miss Valedictorian. And it's oh yeah, I did do that. I forgot, because it's not something that I'm actively thinking about. Oh, I went and spoke in front of thousands of people and was valedictorian, because after graduation was one of the more traumatic nights of my childhood. So it's not something that I really try to consistently think about. But beyond that, I spoke in front of a church before. I've done so many things. I don't want to say survived a car wreck, because it wasn't even that serious, but I was in a car wreck, and it was kind of whoa. I had a very racist roommate that I survived. I had a roommate who was in a very toxic and abusive relationship with her boyfriend, and I survived that because I somehow was residually affected from that. College was a nightmare. Freaking even 2020, it's there's so much that I've lived through, and I didn't I don't know, I just forget about it. But this past year, in different situations and circumstances, I've been reminded of it. And it's kind of crazy because it's yes, I've lived a lot of life, but there is so much more to live. And I'm excited. In thinking about the past and being nostalgic or whatever the case may be, cool, great, fun. But I have to remember that, yeah, I lived that, I survived that, I conquered that, or I had fun with that. That's an excellent memory. But there's so much more to live. I need to leave the country for real, for real. Do you know what I mean? I've left the country, but on cruises. I need to leave and go fly and land somewhere else, even if it's Canada. I still have so much more to live and do and experience, and it's amazing. So 27 is not old. Thank you so much for listening to the 27 lessons I've learned during my 27th year alive. And even though I'm turning 27, I am entering my 28th year. I know it's a confusing concept for many, but I'm very excited. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of the Simply Jamilah podcast. I will be in your ear next week with another episode, and I'm very excited about it because I'm ready to lock the heck in on every year after, and also just like the sneak preview photos for the Love Hypothesis and Beach Read. Like, we have a lot to talk about. I'm 90% sure next week's episode is going to be dedicated to book adaptations, but like, don't quote me on that because something could happen that's even more detrimental between now and then. Obviously, I can't predict the future. I can, like I said, I can only just like live in the moment and be present. I'm fighting for my life right now through every year after. My hope is to finish that show before this episode goes out, because I just simply want to not be watching it anymore. Anyway, thank you again for listening, and thank you for all of the birthday wishes. I really appreciate it, and I am happy to see this year, not to be sad and depressing, but not many people do get the blessing of being able to see their 27th birthday, so I'm very grateful. Thank you so much. Okay, I guess I need to go and like clean all this up. This fun fact, I've trimmed out a lot, but this took well over. And where am I at? I'm also supposed to be on my way to book club right now. It's a giant mess. We're a giant mess at the moment. So I'm just going to go ahead and say goodbye.